Here's a top from a china cabinet. I redid the bottom for a client and she gave me the top. I'm going to give it a Kacha style makeover. I need to get to it first, so I have to clear some things away. Boy, there's that headboard that I've been trying to make into a bench. I've done a few things to it, and it's really ready to be put back together again. I just need to get back at it. So that's a part 2 video that'll be coming up one of these days. But you know what? I need to make some room in my shop, and I need to get some of the big pieces out of the way. So I'm going to move this one and get to this china cabinet. I'm going to start by removing the doors because I want to work a lot on the inside of it. Since it has glass and mirrors, most of the interest will be on the inside, so it's going to be a lot easier if I just take off these doors. I'm taking out all the shelf brackets and I'm keeping them and the screws in a separate container. I'm not going to take that little rubber gasket around all those windows out. As you can see, there's also like sort of a tape seal that they put in. You can see a little bit of the reflection. I don't want to mess with that stuff, so I'm just going to work around it. So therefore, I'm cleaning it with Windex since it's mainly glass and mirrors. Now I have a decision to make. So I'm going to do a gold stencil on this mirror. I'm going to be using Stick With Me and Shine, and I'll explain that when I get there. So do I want a gold, very large zebra print pattern, or do I want something a little more elegant? Kacha's design was definitely something a little more elegant. So it reminded me of damask, yet she did something a little edgy with it. Definitely, I'll link that video in the description box so you can check it out. This is a really thick stencil, so it would be great to use, and I don't think I'd worry about damaging the product or the stencil. But if it's a last time use, it's a last time use. I also have to decide what color the outside's going to be. So I Google everything. So I asked Google if black was still on trend for furniture. And the answer is it never goes out of style. So I'm kind of thinking I want to go a little crazy and be a little bold. So I Googled about zebra prints, if they're popular. And guess what? Vogue says on the runway in the fall 2024 shows that zebra prints were there and no problem. So I'm ready for this zebra print. At first, I opt for gloves, which is a wise decision. This stuff's really sticky. Later on, I got a little cocky and I didn't use the gloves, and I'm still peeling stuff off of my fingers. But I just take one of those throwaway Harbor Freight wire sort of brushes and use it for the adhesive called Stick With Me. It's from Dixie Belle, and I'm painting it through the stencil. I'm just going to throw that brush away when I'm done because I'm definitely not going to wash it out. But it's taken a minute to go through there. The important thing I would say, if you try this, is to hold the stencil down. The glue's thick, so it's not really going to drip down behind your stencil, but you still want to make sure that you're getting as crisp of an image as possible through your stencil. Then you take the shine product, which comes in a roll, as you can see, and you just place it on the adhesive, which is you let it set for 15 minutes or so it gets tacky. So that means it's not wet anymore, but it's still sticky. And then, like I said, I did one at a time, and then I started putting strips down the entire thing and then rubbing everything off and peeling it. And I found that to go a lot quicker. So I would recommend that. This is a fun product. I've never used it on such a large scale. This picture shows, if you look on the bottom left, it's done already, and then on the top right, it's just the adhesive drying. So we're getting there, and this picture shows the gold. I hate taping. I never tape. The only reason I'm taping is I feel like it's going to allow me to paint quicker. I'll cut in anything anytime, but this is going to be tricky because of working inside of the piece. So I took the time, I did it. I felt like it was taping versus scraping. And on the inside, taping won. On the outside now, scraping's going to win. I was able to pull down those lights on the inside so I can get a nice clean finish there. And I am using Bonding Boss. The reason I'm going to do that, one, I want a bright surface underneath the gold that I'm going to paint. And number two, I'm painting a couple different surfaces. I'm painting that rubber gasket around those windows. So I want something that's going to stick to that. And three, I don't know if it's going to bleed, so that takes care of all of these problems. I'm using a zebra angled brush, which is really helping me get in all those corners. So look how fast I can paint because I taped off. Look at me go. It's interesting painting on the inside. I often use the mirror to see if I missed anything. I did make one discovery though, as I was looking in the mirror. That bar that's going across, I'm not going to be able to paint that unless I take that piece of glass out. So when I'm all done, I need to make that decision. I'm also considering leaving the doors off of this piece because I like, how bold the zebra pattern is. So I have a lot of decisions to make yet. After a sleep, I was able to think things through. I was able to pull out that gasket. Now I hope it's as easy to return. I've decided to keep the doors off, but don't worry, I can repurpose them. I love to do that. But now I have some holes to fill, and I will fill them with Dixie mud. Before I start to paint with my gold metallic, I need to take one last pass with the Boss. That bar that I discovered in the reflection, I'm taking care of that. I'm getting pretty good at looking in the mirror to do my painting. I decided that one little strip at the bottom is going to have to be gold in order for it to look good. So that needs primed. And now I noticed that I missed a spot. I'm really bending my brain because I'm using my left hand and looking in the mirror. Now it's time for the gold. I am using Gold Digger from the Moonshine Metallics line from Dixie Belle. I love this paint. It has sort of the same kind of chemical makeup or consistency as the silk does. It's like it has a sealer built into it. So I'm using it kind of generously, but you don't want to leave any lumps. I like to liken this kind of paint to nail polish. So did you ever have somebody do a manicure for you? And, when I used to paint my nails when I was younger, I always would let the coat dry in between and before I put a second coat on. Well, I see, when I had a manicurist do it, that they put the second coat and the sealer, the top coat on right away. They do it all and then let it all dry at once. That's because it dries top down, just like this paint does. So sometimes I'll go in and I'll put a second or a third coat on, even before it's like, hasn't dried for hours or anything. So, I do that and then I let it dry really good when I'm done. But this Moonshine Metallics, every coat you put on, it just increases the brilliance. I love it. I took my brush with the Moonshine Metallics just to go over that to see if it did anything else for it. It didn't. I tried a few things actually. So I broke open a new 16-ounce jar of the Moonshine Metallics and I'm continuing. You can see how each coat just builds up that brilliant gold finish. There's 3 coats. So now I am ready to peel that tape, and for those of you that like the satisfaction of tape peeling, well, here it is. I'm using Black Sands, which is a really pretty gray-black color. Don't laugh at me adjusting my old Harbor Freight stool. I think I had to replace it once, but it's such a good investment. $20, and even if I replaced it once for 10 years, that's not bad. Sometimes I think you can even get them on sale for $15. So here's the slow-mo on how it's done. You have to put it up before you can lower it. At least at my age, that's what you have to do. Looks kind of funny, but it works really well. I get the piece turned on its side and install the brackets that hold the legs, but they're a little too long and they hit the bottom of the piece. So I measured and used some tape to mark my drill bit so that I don't drill in farther than necessary and go through the piece. But that way I can screw those legs on. I am not going to lie though, it took me a while to get the legs the way I wanted them. And then I needed some help to stand it back up because I didn't want to put any pressure on them. But they really went in well after all the worrying. So I was pretty pleased with them. Got the lights put in, and I painted by hand all those gaskets, and I'm ready to reinstall that glass. And then on the top of the piece, there were some staples, but they were super smooth. I just took some mud and just made sure that they weren't going to show up when I painted it as staples. So again, only one of them needed pounded down. And now I am painting the top of my piece. I was filming something else when I painted it, so I was having a conversation. A little more satisfaction if you like to scrape paint. So I'm getting all that excess paint from the glass. Now, if you remember how it looked before, here we are now. I think it's a pretty sexy liquor cabinet. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. We also have a channel membership for only 99 cents a month. Visit us on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and also on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.